and they're going to try to sell America on, look, they're burning inner cities. We've got to set up military checkpoints. We've got to do this for your safety, to where we beg for it. We've got to see through this as they try it, Bob.
Well, they've done that in Mexico, just as an example, especially in the frontier areas. They've got probably 60,000 troops, along the border pursuing criminals and drug cartels. And it's not only there, down south in Chiapas and Guerrero and over in some of the other places where there's activities of that kind. They're using that as an excuse. And there's a lot of cities in that country where you see military vehicles parading up the street all the time. And they even knock on doors and say, we want to search your house. And there's nothing you can do about it. They just go ahead and do it. And well, nobody can conditioning.
No one can say that we're not in interesting times, Bob.
Well, that's for sure. And but if we can keep on pumping the true word to the people, they'll understand and they won't get sucked in by this. And when things get dreadful, they won't make stupid mistakes which would cause harm to them, their families, and others. And we got to back the military, and they've got to back us. Well, and it's the same thing with law enforcement. I mean, you don't want to go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You don't want to go home and find out that somebody found you were in law enforcement and that they shot somebody because you were told to, because you were told they were terrorists, and so somebody went to your house and wiped your whole family out. And law enforcement, there's not that many of them. They don't have any protection. They really don't. And so they better think twice before they federalize, I'll tell you.
Well, they know that. They know if the American people decide to fight against them, they're dead meat. And so that's why, look, we have foreign banks openly raping, openly stealing everything, openly butchering the Bill of Rights and Constitution, openly involved in treason. This isn't rocket science. We're on the side of good. The globalists are bad. They're illegitimate. They're criminal. And finally, we are beginning to win. People are talking about the private Federal Reserve. They're talking about the New World Order. The New World Order, I really believe, has overreached, and we have to get past this loser attitude of it's all a foregone conclusion, and it's the end of the world because the government paid for churches say so, 501c3, Rockefeller Foundation, World Council of Churches. We have to decide we could beat these people. We have to decide we could stand up and say no. But they have this Borg-like resistance is futile, you will be assimilated, mind trick they've gotten so many people into where the general public sees themselves as cowardly jellyfish and don't realize how dynamic and free and human they are and that we're alive right now and it's our destiny to be part of history bringing down the New World Order. Regardless, they're coming down on us. We might as well give them one hell of a fight.
And that's what we're doing. And that's what we're trying to get other people to do. Don't let them beat you. It's all a matter of courage and understanding who the enemy is and what they're trying to do. I'm 73 years old. Everybody else my age is either dying or sitting in a rocking chair. I mean, I do this because I know what these people are up to. And it's extremely important you mentally and intellectually arm yourself as well as do the other things that you're supposed to do by having listened to this program. Well,
they tell people, be young, party, don't get involved. And when you get older, they say, retire. This is all about your time. And they go home and die. But there were people 87 years old pulling triggers and killing redcoats in the Revolutionary War, Bob. You're standing up and living like a man, like you're supposed to. When they told you to go sit in a chair and die, you didn't do it. It's unbelievable. We'll take a few calls for Bob Chapman on the other side of this quick break on the economy. Stay with us. Josh in Canada. Josh, you're on the air with Bob Chapman. Go ahead.
Hello, sirs. Thank you for your courageous work that you guys do, and everyone really appreciates it. Two quick questions with regards to the economy. Yesterday, the governor of the Bank of Canada declared the recession over here in Canada, despite the neocons putting us $50 billion into deficit, and we don't know who owns that debt or how it will be paid back.
Well, they declared 3 years ago that we weren't in a recession when Bob and others were saying we officially were. Now they've told us over and over again the recession's over when we're really in a depression. What's your question?
The question was that he's saying that there will be an eventual return to historically higher interest rate levels, despite the fact that in 38 our national bank was nationalized to get away from the international bankers, but in 74 we joined the G7, and that took the World Bank and IMF and the Federal Reserve then took control of
you're totally run by the bankers, just like we are. I appreciate your call. Bob Chapman, when we look at the economic numbers, unemployment skyrocketing, joblessness, construction, manufacturing's all down, 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 and they're now telling us that we're going to have a jobless recovery. What type of Orwellian term is that?
Exactly that, Orwellian. And it's going on in Canada and every place else. And, of course, they fudge their figures just like everybody else does. And so it's going to continue to deteriorate, and they're going to continue to lie about having recovery. I mean, you're seeing corporate earnings that are better than what was anticipated. That's because they're laying everybody off.
Absolutely. They're using this to vertically integrate, to radically consolidate, and to give huge profits to themselves. Plus, they're flush with tens of trillions in bailout money. They leveraged. And that's why Ben Bernanke yesterday in testimony was saying inflation is going to hit. And so that'll be another tax on us. Back in 70 seconds with the fourth hour. Jasper in Boston. Quick question or comment for Bob Chapman. Go ahead. He dropped off. Okay. Let's go to John in Ohio. Quick question or comment for our guest.
Well, it's not exactly quick, but Alex, I think you're on the cutting edge of really opposing these global fascists, and I'm glad to hear that at least some of the time, as Bob Chapman said, they're not communists, they're not socialists of any kind. They're the exact opposite. They're corporatist fascists. But
they're using the socialist commie model. Look, I met a lady on the street yesterday wearing a red star on her shirt who really liked my show and thought we were battling the capitalists. I tried to explain to her that the bankers want to socialize things so they can steal the money. And she just couldn't understand it like you can, John.
Well, you can constantly say that and set up straw men, but would you have somebody on that can explain exactly what a socialist believes in rather than only the liars and the distorters?
Well, all I know is all I see the bankers doing is funding socialists. But, I mean, do you have a question for Bob?
Well, I'd like to point out that, as I say, and I was just the other night at my city council meeting opposing the vaccination and the fluoride in our water.
Good.
But and I agree with about 60% of what you're saying. But I think you've got your feet in both camps with your anti-communism in a false definition, and at the same time you've got your other foot in the austerity camp of the globalist corporatist fascists in this libertarian so-called call for slashing and gutting and looting what little social programs were given as a kind of a pacifier.
But the pacifier, the bankers get 95%, then their minions get 5%, and they use their minions as a weapon against what's left of the middle class. Look, John, I got to let you go because we're short on time. Bob, can you explain to him what's going on here?
Not in the time frame we have, but I think I can say this. I have spent since 1964 trying to bring the left and the right together, irrespective of their differences. We're all Americans. We want to win. We want to beat the bankers. So let's get together, and we'll sort everything out later. Let's get the real enemy.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, people spend so much time attacking me and analyzing me as if I'm the New World Order, when obviously my fruits are good. I'm waking people up, getting them to think, getting them involved. We're in a desperate situation, Bob. We all got to pull together against the bankers.
Exactly. And, boy, it's been a long time coming, but it's cycled over the last 5 to 8 years. And my heart goes out to all of the people of different philosophical, intellectual, and political insights. Let's just get together, get the job done, and, if one city wants to be socialist, let them do it. I mean, if that's what they want.
Yeah, as long as it's done under the state's rights system. That's a good point. You can have your socialist city, and we'll see how many people want to live there.
Well, you know, the truth of the pudding is in the tasting, but that will have to come after we defeat our present visual enemy.
Well said. Bob Chapman, internationalforecaster.com. Folks can get a free copy. Comes out on Saturdays, twice a week, but Saturday is the next date tomorrow, so go there, check it out. We also post some of the great articles written by Bob Chapman. Bob Chapman, always great having you on with us. See you next week.
Thank you very much, and I'll be there. Bye-bye.
All right, God bless you. Take care.